Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. Before we even get started, I need you guys to do me a favor, please. If you believe in second chances, if you believe in people actually being able to change, please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, drop us a comment, and share this with somebody who needs it. Because that's how we get the message out. That's how YouTube pushes it. And that's how the people who feel like they're too far gone will actually see this. Because here's the truth: addiction does not just affect one person, it affects families, it affects kids, it affects generations. But what I've learned living it is this: our story didn't start with addiction, it started with love, it started with life, and then life does what it does, it lifes. Y'all, today I'm proud to be sitting here with my son Joey, and we're going to walk you through our story: the good, the bad, the broken, and healing on the other side. So, welcome, son.
Hello, how are you?
In a place I never even allowed myself to dream of, but grateful in here.
Fair enough.
So, a little about my son, y'all. He was born in 1998. That was kind of before everything fell apart. We kind of had a life back then. We had laughter, we had family, and we had real moments. Joe, what do you remember about that?
Quite a bit growing up, actually, and I was born in '88, not '98.
You'd think I'd know better. Okay, anyway, go ahead.
Oh, God.
98,
Uh,
98 was a period in our life. 98 does have a significance, and my brain just went there. So, yeah, let's back it up to 88 when you were born.
um, growing up, just remember a lot of spending time with you and being around Papa and Grandma Brenda, Grandma Ruby, Grandpa Wyman, Uncle Danny, all them.
All right, now, what's, give me a couple of your favorite memories.
Probably one of them be driving a tractor with Papa. The other one would be throwing the truck in neutral while Kelly was on the hood. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, Kelly. She'll
Oops.
be
I love
watching.
you.
Yeah, she'll be watching. All right. So now here's a loaded question, but here's the cool part. Because of our relationship, you know, you can be straight up honest in this question, right? We've talked. What was I like as a mom, birth to 10?
A good mom. Like I said, a lot of shit I did know. I, how do I say this? I witnessed some of it, whether you realized or not, the single handed stuff you were going through trying to raise a kid on your own, up until Mike. And then I forget what year he came into the picture, but, I want to say it was a solid 5 to 7 years we had, just you and I,
You know what one of
sitting
my favorite
down.
memories was?
What?
Every night, 9 p.m.,
Star Trek,
and
popcorn.
you got it.
That's where I was going with that before, but you beat me to it.
That sitting there watching. Oh, another favorite memory: calling 911.
Yeah, that too.
Yo, police show up at our house one night. It was so funny. We were home. Joey called 911 by accident. I was teaching him 911. That's what it was. Because you were about 4 or 5. And I was teaching you that and you was practicing it. Well, something had happened. We ran next door to mom and dad's, came back, and all of a sudden all the damn cops are in the yard. And I'm like, what the heck's going on? Yeah, because you had hung up and nobody knew what was up. So yeah, that was cool too. Um, so before we get to 98, there was 96 when your sister was born, your first sister. What was that like?
Yeah, that was fun. I did definitely did enjoy being a big brother, making her laugh a lot. We definitely got a close relationship there for a while.
And then unfortunately, when Lindsay was only 18 months old in 1998, everything changed. And I mean everything. My mom, his Grandma Brenda, was killed in a medical mistake. 2 months later, my mom, my dad, his Baba, took his own life. And I found him when he did. And y'all, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't deal with it. I didn't process it. I didn't even understand it at the time. I just tried to carry it. And if you've ever done that, you already know what you don't heal, you carry into everything. So, Joe, what do you remember about that time?
Hmm, a lot, but not a lot. I guess part of me going through my struggles, trying to forget parts of it. I guess, but after everything happened, I realized I witnessed it with my own eyes, the family just falling apart entirely. And not necessarily just you, but Kim and Kelly too. And completely understandably so. I get it. I mean, I can't even fathom going through that.
But you did.
Um,
You did, honey.
well, I know, but on a son or a daughter scale, it's I mean, yes, they did. They meant a lot to me, especially Papa.
Yeah. That's why I never really looked at you losing Bappa differently than me losing Bappa because he was the only dad you ever knew. Even though he was my dad, your grandfather, he was the only father figure you ever had.
Yeah.
You know? Did you even understand what all was going on at that time? I mean, you were 10.
To be honest, no. I just knew that my world was shattered and this was some nightmare I was living in now. I mean, I knew that they were both gone, but trying to process it, like, how the hell did it just happen like this quick? Just the other day, just 30, 45 days ago, everything was fine. And it's amazing how life changes that quick. And on top of that, I mean, I understand the world has to move on, but it still can take a toll on you.
It can because when your world gets rocked like that and turned upside down, I couldn't find my footing. I couldn't recalibrate. You know what I mean? Not me. It took me a long fucking time, but So the next question is gonna be an obvious yes, but I want to know in what ways. Right now, we're gonna talk negatively. We'll talk the good stuff later. How did that change me as a mom?
Definitely noticed the drinking more. Um, then it went from just cigarettes to these weird looking little half cigarettes that smelled funky. I mean, hell, I remember being a kid and jumping in the escort and took a big old swig of your orange juice, and that some bitch had nothing but pure vodka and like that much OJ in it. But I can understand to a degree that you were trying to cope with your emotions mentally. I guess you're in your own way.
You know, I know you've heard this story before. The day of Papa's suicide. And because this actually came up in your counseling, at one point you thought if you had went and spent the night with him, he wouldn't have done it, right? That Friday morning, Joey, I woke up and to this day, come on now, I just still, I have a hard time believing I knew what I knew before I knew it, but I don't know how else to explain it. I woke up that morning and I did two things. One of them I said I'd never do. I called Aunt Debbie to come get Lindsay, right? And I called Denise and asked if you could come stay over for the weekend with Ryan.
Yeah,
Not knowing Dad had asked you to come stay that night too,
yeah,
right? So you had no choice in the situation. I had already made those plans for you at 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock Friday morning. 9 o'clock, Debbie picked up Lindsay. 9:30, I was in Northport getting a liter of vodka. Now you know I didn't drink like that back then. I never did. Drinking wasn't my thing.
yeah. Because I could tell, kind of going back to your previous question a little bit, eh, the family started to go downhill, but more so with you because you started isolating. You would sit up all night at the computer and sleep all day. If you weren't there, you were over in the shop working on the t-shirt press or something like that. It just all random hours of the night, and then getting pissy at everybody when they're like, well, you're sleeping during the day. And there was things to be done.
It's also when my opiate habit started. Because I
Yeah,
was
I
up all
remember
night.
that. I remember that too.
Mhm. That's when that started, about that time. After one of how many surgeries I had had, right?
Yeah,
And so it it really rocked our world, to say the least. But anyway, that morning, 9 o'clock, Lindsay's gone. You're at school, but you're gone for the weekend. I go, I get the bottle of vodka, I come back home from 9 to 12. I sat there and drank that whole stupid bottle and listened to one song on repeat. And that was Brian Wilson's Lay Down Burden. I don't know how I knew that would be the last day I would see my dad, but it did. By noon, I passed out because I finished the whole bottle. Well, that night, me and Mike were gonna go to dinner, and so he got home. I was getting ready. We were getting ready to leave, and Kim called and said something's wrong with Dad. You need to get up there. That's why I took off up there, and he had our CD playing, and that's when he said to me, Kathy, I'm sorry. Everything I tried to protect you from, I put you through. He said, you could have been another Reba McEntire. And I said, Dad, I was just happy being your daughter. And I knew I was telling him goodbye. We left, went and ate dinner. Mike ended up with food poisoning. And then the next morning, That's when I found him. And I remember coming to get you.
I
Stan,
do.
what do you remember?
Just walking out of Ryan's apartment or Denise's apartment, whatever it was, and Mike was Mike wasn't with you, or it may have been somebody was with you,
Mike was with me.
but you were propped up against the car, already smoking a cigarette with your back kind of turned towards me. And as soon as I come out the door, you turned around and you just stood there with this dead glance on your face, and you had a card in your hand. And I remember walking over there and reading the card and initially breaking down, but not understanding what was being said because it was like, wait a minute, you know, he had asked me to stay the night with him last night. And I was like, well, Bob, I'm going to go to Ryan's tonight. Maybe I can do it tomorrow. "Oh, okay, buddy. Okay." And then, to that morning to wake up and get that card and knowing that really fucked with me emotionally and mentally because at the time I thought if I had stayed, he would still be here or would have been for, a little longer amount. Now, looking back on it, I realized the health problems he had on top of the broken heart and whatnot. And the man was in pain, and you could hear it through his choice of lyrics. Definitely riding back from UAB with him. Uh, Alan Jackson on repeat, living on love. And he wasn't the same after leaving UAB. It's like he died that day. And it was just a human form of him walking around for the next couple of months.
You just repeated Grandpa Hodge.
Um,
He said to me, Kathy, your dad didn't take his life. He died of a broken heart. He died the day your mom came.
looking at it now, I mean, at 10 years old, I didn't see it. I
Yeah,
couldn't. I was just looking at it as, okay, God, all right, my grandpa and grandma are gone. Why? What did they do? What did I do? Why?
right.
Whose fault is it? And if so, if it is, then what, why? It makes no sense because, everything was, I had your, average childhood growing up. We went to, we went on, excuse me, uh, we went on vacations to like, the Chattanooga Choo Choo and stuff like that a few times, Mobile, Pensacola, whatever. But it rocked my world, which knowing what I know now, I can definitely see why yours, Kim and Kelly, um, kind of went your own separate ways in your own paths.
Then things got even crazier. We started moving. First to Nashville for a stint, then to Connecticut. Looking back now, I see it clear as day. We weren't just moving, or I wasn't. Let me rephrase this. I wasn't just moving, I was running from the pain that showed up anyway. So, what was that first like for you? What did you feel settled or all over the place? I mean, because it really stability kind of lost its meaning after they died.
Yeah, and I do remember there shortly after for a while it it kind of got old, I guess, because it was like reliving it every day because everywhere you went in Tuscaloosa, oh, I'm so sorry to hear about David or Brenda and da 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 da. No matter where you went, and that was another reason I understood why you got out, But also at the same time, moving to Nashville, I was highly pissed at you. You yanked. I was pissed at the world, if I'm being honest, more than anything. But you had a big part in it because, all right, this all just happened, and now you're yanking me out of the only schooling I've known down here my whole life. Basically, we're moving to a whole new state, whole new city. Yeah, we got family up there, cousins, but it was like, well, I'm so used to living where we lived because, top of the hill was a grocery store. First house was Kim and Jeff. Second house, Bob and Grandma Brenda. Third house was us. Fourth house was Wyman and them. And then till Kelly moved in. But it was definitely a culture shock for me. Number one, growing up in the sticks and then moving to the city.
Hmm. Mm. So there for the next 3 years, let's say. So 99, 2000, 2000. I was not a healed mom. Yes, I was on and off. Actually, I had come off of opiates, but then in 2001, it started back on. So there for a couple of years, I had not. I 99, 2000, and then 2001, I had not. It was mid 2001 when I started using opiates again. Even though during that little period I wasn't using, I wasn't healed. Let's be real. I was grieving. I was angry. I was pissed at the world. I had trauma nobody knew anything about, right? And no tools to deal with it. What the hell was it like living me with? What was it like living with me at that time?
It was definitely tough because, especially once we moved up to Connecticut, we saw less and less of you. And part of it, at first, it was work, work, work. And then that turned into work and going out socially drinking. And then that led to another. And, you know,
Relationship.
yeah, Rob or uh, the first.
Mm. Until the last, I'm gonna say 5, 6, 7 years. Emotions were never my strong suit. I thought it, I felt it, and it always came out negative. How did my emotions affect you?
Hmm,
Because there are times I say, Jesus, you are my son. I see it.
yeah. Mm, well, I know at that point I was highly ticked because it was, just a year or so after when this has been 2 years, 3 years, but I guess it was still so new to me. And now we go from living in Alabama to Nashville, which is just a couple hours away from home, to halfway across the country, to a whole itty bitty state. And we get here and you're living with a guy. It my everything was just crazy because I didn't know how to take it. It was all new to me. um but it was more chaotic than peaceful at that time.
for sure. What were maybe some things you felt but never said?
Mm, So many times I wanted to ask why you keep dating these same guys, same kind. Number one. Number two, I guess why couldn't it go back to the old days when things were more simple? And then that's about when I started counseling or therapy with the lady in West Haven. And she's like, well, there's nothing you can do to go back. Da, 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 da. You're going to have to get that drilled in your head. It's all about moving forward now. Oh, okay, I understand that. But still, couldn't there have been some sense of going back to normality? And I don't know because that was around the time I started smoking pot too. So
Yeah, because then 2002 happened in DCF. And
yeah,
y'all, listen, I want to be real about this. I had already been using opiates, but I was what people would call a functional addict at that time. Because trust me, after Joey, after that, I broke again in a way I didn't know was possible. I was still showing up, trying to go to work, trying to still do what I needed to do. But when he was gone, instead of dealing with the pain, it's like I ran full force straight to that damn crack pipe. I broke. What do you remember about that time?
a lot of fighting and arguing, a lot of walking out, being out all hours of the night.
What were you feeling at the time?
So many mixed emotions because it, it was it was like, what the hell do I do? Nothing is the same anymore. I'm becoming somebody totally different because at the time I'm turning into a teenager and slowly finding myself. And it was a very testing and chaotic time. Um, Definitely lack of no communication on either end, and neither one of us tried. I mean, it was just basically roommates. Hi, goodbye.
What was it like being away from me?
That that about broke me, and in some ways, I think it did. Looking back at it, um, you know, go from losing your grandparents, living in a small town in Tuscaloosa and Coker, into Nashville, now Connecticut. Now you're in foster care, and it's like, all right, God, what the hell else you got for me? What do you want to throw at me? You know, apparently I've done something to piss you off. So, what do you got?
Well, 2004 came. Your sister.
Yeah,
What was I like? Becoming a big brother again in the middle of everything.
it was cool because I could go get her some gifts and stuff like that. And the unfortunate part was that only lasted until it was what 1 year and 3 months, and then that's when I moved.
Yeah.
But it
Um,
was very emotional because we were slowly reconnecting, but I wasn't letting my guard down. You were with Bobby, and him and I had butt heads. I don't know how many times before in the past. From hell walking in, finding him, he's flat out fucking had a seizure, foam at the mouth, pissed his pants, right in the kitchen floor. And at 12, 13 years old, I didn't know what the hell I was walking into.
And then we were apart
You know,
in Nashville.
that made it so much worse. There was so much, I can't say hatred because I never hated you, but there was probably a lot of animosity. Um,
A lot of hurt.
a lot of feelings. Um, and the one thing I wished I had done was continue therapy when I got to Nashville, like I was promised we would do. Um, and never went through with that. But that's when I turned back to smoking pot again, and then I started drinking underage even more because my aunt was providing.
You know, and
So,
that's when you went to Nashville, and for a long time from that point forward, we didn't have a relationship.
mm-mm,
Years.
nope. And I spent many years dreading and scared waiting for that phone call because at the end of the rope, or however you want to say this, but even though we weren't speaking, you would still think of me because if something happened, I was put down as your emergency contact. And there were a couple times I got those calls at fucking 1, 2, 3, 4 in the morning, scared shitless out of my mind. Okay, is this the one? This time Kathy's fighting a cop trying to take his gun, and like, wait, what? you know, uh, and yeah, so many emotions, memories, and it's a rough time.
So I know I wasn't the only one struggling. You had your own journey, your own pain, and your own battles. I want to give you the space now to share what you're comfortable with. Think of the time period when you moved to Nashville to April 2017 when we connected. Okay.
Mm,
What was that time like for you?
well, it's pretty good. For the most part, when I got down there and turned 18, um, I had a uncle of the family, Larry, put me in security school training and got my certification to be an unarmed security guard and went to work for him. Met my current wife, working a job at Walgreens at the age of 17. That was 2005. Um, been together for going on 20 years now with two beautiful girls, two beautiful boys. Um, it's definitely been an emotional roller coaster because even through those years, again, still waiting, wondering when is it coming. And then on top of that, you know, during this time, I'm trying to get in touch with my baby sister, or not, with my youngest, yeah, my baby sister, and her family saying, "No, you're a POS, you're a Simmons, you're never gonna talk to her. She's a Hanley." Da 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 da. So many years went by without being able to talk to Rose, and I feel like we lost a chance at a good relationship because of that, and that bothers me, and it kills me now because of everything that's going on. and having to go back to Nashville and leave again.
Yeah. Honestly, did you think we would ever reconnect?
I did. I just didn't know what I was expecting out of it because in the beginning, everything was so new at the time. I was still using, you were just getting clean. I was probably, I don't know, midway through my addiction at that point. Um, and I remember in the beginning talking vaguely, and, we would ship a few packages back and forth. And then I remember when finally we did reconnect for good in 2017. Um, I was definitely excited and nervous as hell at the same time because I remember the first couple days after talking to Robin about this, you flying down for the first time. I got sick as a hell every morning for the first couple days after. And she's like, "Well, maybe it's the drinking." Da, 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 da. I'm like, "Nah, I don't know about that." Because at this point, I didn't. I might drink a couple beers on the weekend, and this was long before my
That was
drinking days.
definitely nerves.
Yeah, yeah, I could tell you that. Because it had been so damn long since I had seen you. Because the last time I remember seeing you in Connecticut, you had come to see me at work at Expect in Milford, and because you had asked me, I think you asked me to buy some formula or some money for some formula or something like that. But you met me up there at work, and then next thing I know, I was gone, or you were gone, and never to be heard from after that. And I was like, all right, well, she's on another Kathy stint, so we'll see how long this one lasts. I know it's a terrible way of thinking, but
No,
you
that
know,
unfortunately at the time was the way. And hearing oh, that breaks me because I can see now the things I never healed, how they spilled over into you. You know? And here's the truth: understanding it doesn't excuse it, but it does allow us to finally learn to heal it. So 2017 comes in 2017, 9 years ago. Next 2 weeks from now will be 9 years ago. 9 years. So after years apart, y'all, I got to see my son again. And I'm telling you right now, that moment changed everything. It changed before that, but that day, man, what did it feel like for you at the airport?
tons of different emotions because it wasn't just you, it was also getting to see Rose too for the first time.
Uh,
And I remember that upcoming week, up until the day you were landing, I was nervous as hell. And then the transmission blew in my van the day before you land. And I'm like, what the hell is this? Some kind of sign? Are you testing me already? What the hell, man?
yeah.
But getting there to the airport and seeing you and putting my arms around you and seeing you clean for the first time basically ever in my life. Um, and now that Rose is back home with you, spoke volumes.
Here's the thing, I didn't just have to get sober, I had to become a different person. I had to take responsibility, not just for my addiction, but for the way I showed up even long before that. When did you start seeing real change?
Mm, not for a while. It was quite a few years into. I mean, I don't get me wrong. I noticed you were sober, um, but you weren't actively working it like you do today. Um, so there was, I don't know, I want to say a 3 or 4 year window, because I want to say around. Well, no, because you helped me get into a treatment facility in Nashville, um, before COVID. So that was 2019. And that was when I started my sobriety journey, 2/24/19. Um, and then went and did the MAP program, which, thankfully, get to say I'll be coming off that in the next 6 months due to going to the shot. So
Listen, Matt is phenomenal. He saves lives. Yeah, there's a
yeah.
bunch of BS out there about, people want to argue it and stuff like that. But there's two individuals right here that's still living and doing the shit today because of it.
Hmm.
So let's keep that, yeah, for sure.
Hmm.
So rebuilding wasn't overnight. It was consistency, showing up over and over again. What did rebuilding look like for you?
I guess, see, it started with the consistency again. It wasn't just a call every once in a while and check in. You were reaching out almost daily, if I remember correctly. Um, but a lot of communication and open communication. And then I know it took a while for me to get comfortable with you talking to the grandkids. Um, because I felt like you had proved yourself to me, I guess to a degree, but I still hadn't let my guard down yet. So
Like that word yet. That means you eventually did.
yes.
and, um, so listen, what was one, maybe give me an example of something I did that mattered the most. What made a difference to you?
Number one, when you got Rose back home, I considered that a huge stepping stone for you and a huge victory. Um, and that also showed me, hey, she's doing the damn thing, and this was about the time I want to say you slowly started getting into the meetings here and there or whatnot. I could be off on the timing. I'm not sure.
Little bit, because
Okay.
2018, I came down there in April 2017. August 2018, no, August 2017 is when I started college, right after I came back from your house for the first time. I
Yeah.
was in college for 4 years. I didn't start the meetings until September of 21, 22, somewhere in there. It's been
Okay. So
yeah. But I was in school for it. I was learning about it.
that too.
Yeah, and for me, and everybody's different, y'all. AA, NA, CA, ACA, CR, all of them programs are great, right? But everybody's journey is different. For me, it took therapy, it took psych, it took group meetings. Um, and it took building connection because connection is the opposite of addiction. But now I want to, before we get to the next part, there is something. But speaking of my rebuilding, you too are in the process of rebuilding.
Second go around.
Okay, tell me about it.
Well, I am. Hello, my name's Joe. I'm an addict, former addict. Uh, no, originally I had a thing for methamphetamine and opiates. Um, those were my go-to. I mean, I did dabble in a lot of other stuff. But I got clean 224 of 19 from that. But at that time, I was also trading one addiction for the other while arguing with myself that I wasn't and telling everybody else that I wasn't. And that's when I slowly started picking the bottle back up. And that led to a blurry last about 5 years.
Okay. And when did you make the decision to say my life is going to be different?
To be honest, it originally started July 25th of last year. We were in the middle of an extreme heat warning. I mean, we're talking 112, 115. It was bad. Greg, the guy I worked for, was out of town at the time. He had went on vacation with his family, and I was out cutting Friday's route by myself. Number one, my dumbass, I was drinking every night after I would get off work, go home. No matter what kind of day I had, it was always the same routine. It was hit the liquor store because the liquor store and the beer store were right next to each other, so I could make one stop and be done. Um, two and a half pints of Evan Williams to start the night, and then a 3 pack of Tall Boys, and then 9 times out of 10, I usually ran back out for another pint or another 3 pack. Um, and yeah, one thing just kept leading to another, and I uh ended up at work that Friday, the 25th, and passed out on a customer's yard with the backpack blower on in the middle of this heat wave, balled up in the fetal position, and I couldn't move because every muscle in my body had locked itself up. I was so severely dehydrated, I probably should have been hospitalized for it, but my stubborn ass went home and just laid in the cool and then waited a day and tried it again. But that day I was like, all right, you know what? I think today's the day we quit drinking. So I quit drinking for a week or two. Well, no, a couple weeks. And then I tried it one more time, and that was September 5th. Um, got off work, don't know what it was, couldn't tell you. I said, fuck it, I want to drink. And I stopped by the liquor store. I just grabbed a pint, and I had that pint chugged before I got home. And then from the time where the liquor store I went to get there back to my house with traffic on a Friday evening, I don't know, it was like 15, 20 minutes maybe because I took the long route. I had that bottle gone. And the next morning I woke up, or sorry, that was the fourth. It was the fifth. I woke up throwing up excessively as usual, as can be expected. Shakes, tremors, the whole 9 yards. Couldn't keep nothing down. And I remember I'm like, Jesus, I can't take this no more. what the hell am I doing? What are we doing here, Joe? You're almost 40. You're drinking yourself into a coma, and you ain't got nothing to show for it. Why? Well, you work all the time. You got bills. No, that's not good enough. You're throwing that money away, and that was my wake up call, I guess you can say. And since then, the last 7 months have been interesting to say the least, with the amount of mental and emotional damage I've taken and still not drank. So I am grateful for that.
You know what else I'm grateful for?
Mm,
Generational healing. Because here's what I see now. This didn't just affect us, it affected your sister too, our whole family.
mm,
But today, y'all, there's healing happening. It ain't always pretty, it ain't always easy. But there's sobriety and there's connection. And that's when it hit me. This, what I'm living today, just ain't just ain't recovery. What we've got now today is generational healing. Listen, guys, if you're watching this and you feel like you've messed up too bad, like you've hurt your kids, like it's too late, please hear me. Your past may have impacted your children, yes, but your healing can change their future. Joey and I lost years, but we didn't lose forever. I got my son back. He got his mom back, not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually, and fully. So please don't quit 5 minutes before your miracle. Oh, Joey, I love you, buddy.
love you too, Mama. I'm glad you're here.
I'm glad you're here. Because today, now we can show others it's possible. What you and I once thought wasn't. You
You know,
know? So listen, guys.
anything is possible.
Yes, it is. If this hit you, if this talked to you, please don't just scroll past it. There's people out there right now who feel exactly the way we did and need to see this. Please like it, share it, subscribe it, and drop a comment, because I promise you I do read them and I respond to them and I care. Because no matter how far you've gone, no matter how bad it feels, there is hope. And he and I are living proof, and you can be too. So thank you for being here tonight, and thank you for sharing our story with us. We'll see you on another episode of The Other Side of Rock Bottom.
Are you terrified to face tomorrow? Some mornings feel impossible. But even in the darkest moments, hope is closer than you think. You're not alone. There's hope. Written by Kathy Simmons, a certified recovery coach, Welcome to Recovery is your powerful guide to reclaiming your life. With real stories, practical tools, and compassionate insight, this book lights the way, one page at a time. Whether you're beginning, recommitting, or supporting someone through recovery, find hope, clarity, and strength within these pages. Step into your new chapter. Welcome to Recovery. Take the first step. Get your copy of Welcome to Recovery today and begin your journey to hope.